Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. This is the podcast where we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to a woman's life, her health, and all aspects of navigating the midlife landscape. I'm your host, Susan LoPresti, and today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Ana Gonzalez Herrera. And Ana is the founder and the CEO of Hormone University. Ana dedicated 15 years of her life to the corporate world, leading and growing well-known personal care, beauty, and wellness corporations worldwide. She was diagnosed with battling stage 4 endometriosis in her early 20s, a condition that affects more than 10% of women that is horrendously painful and difficult to deal with. She was in pain 50% of the time with extreme PMS for over a decade. She went through 5 surgeries, infertility, and surgical menopause. A severe side effect from a hormonal treatment inspired her to start her entrepreneurial journey to fulfill her vision of rethinking the women's wellness space. Knowing from her own personal experience that wellness starts from knowledge, Ana took charge of building and launching Hormone University, the first educational platform focused on hormonal health, aiming to not only raise awareness, but also empower women to take control over their hormonal health, to be prepared when they step into the doctor's office and to get their questions answered. Inspired by the idea that hormonal wellness is the result of a balanced approach to health, and with the naturopathic principles in mind, she launched Glow, a product line that provides a series of effective evidence-based natural products co-formulated with OBGYNs to help achieve hormonal balance. Glow by Hormone University is available in the USA and Spain. Ana has been published in over 30 publications as an ardent advocate for fostering unity to combat the stigma surrounding hormonal health. Her commitment to community, genuine connections, and mutual supportive drives her missions to build a robust network of individuals who prioritize hormonal well-being. Ana's vision is to empower others with the knowledge and products necessary to take charge of their hormones rather than allowing hormones to dictate their lives. With a belief in authenticity and solidarity, Ana strives to create a powerful movement that transcends societal stigmas and empowers individuals to live their lives to their fullest. And without further ado, Ana, welcome to my podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. This is such an extremely important topic. So let's dive right in.
Well, thank you so much, Susan, for having me. And for anyone listening to this wonderful podcast, I do hope that I add value and help whoever I can with my story and everything that we're doing in hormonal health. So yes, well, Susan, you and I talked a little while ago now, but my story starts as with, I think, almost any woman, right? We do have a hormone story. So in my case, I was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis in my mid-20s. And at the time, I was like, endo what? I had no idea what that was. So it is a long story because endometriosis, even right now, has no cure and still very little research. And the consequences of that diagnosis for me was a huge amount of pain, excruciating pain, around 1 to 2 weeks out of the month, and going through a series of surgeries. So I went in total 6 surgeries, and other consequences, which was my dream of having children that didn't happen, and tried an IVF round and it didn't happen. And so I decided, after that sixth surgery and going into surgical menopause, and for those who don't know what surgical menopause, I would like to explain.
Please.
So in my case, I had full infiltration of endometriosis everywhere in my reproductive organs. So ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, it was everywhere. And it also infiltrated my colon. So the last surgery was actually quite dangerous, in the sense that they had to have 2 teams operating on me. One was in charge of removing all the reproductive organs, and the other one was in charge of doing a colon resection to get rid of that infiltration in my colon. So it was very difficult, and not just physically, also emotionally and psychologically. So that was the good thing. Is the positive angle here is that that was my wake-up call and the genesis of my mission. And I, at that point, I decided, okay, I'm going to look into hormonal health. Why don't I know anything about hormonal health? And what is there that I can do? What is it that I can do to help women? I'm going to pause here. And
Yeah, I want to start by asking you, what were your earliest symptoms? What was going on? What were you feeling?
yes, excruciating pain. Every time I was approaching my period, during my period, excruciating pain, huge inflammation. So estrogen dominance, unfortunately, is really common these days. And why is that? There are many reasons that we read these days. Is estrogen dominance happens at any age, by the way. So it could happen when you're in your 50s, or it could happen when you're in your 30s or 40s, or early kind of reproductive years.
Mm-hmm.
And estrogen dominance leads to endometriosis potentially, and has many different, let's call them, side effects. And one of the key reasons that we're seeing these days for estrogen dominance that leads to so much inflammation is the use of plastics and microplastics. That kind of mimics estrogen in the body. So that's a whole other subject that it's a fascinating subject in a way, but unfortunately very sad. So going back to your question, Susan, what were the symptoms? So inflammation was definitely one of them, bloating, but the one that I remember the most was pain and very heavy periods, extremely heavy periods. I was always scared of going to the beach or going to work. I was checking constantly, am I going to stain, my skirt or my pants or whatever. So those were kind of like maybe the 2 biggest symptoms. And I remember in my last job, Susan, I was a partner at this company, and I was a partner with 3 other guys. And I remember attending board meetings, literally bending down with pain and taking a huge amount of painkillers to survive. So one of the biggest mistakes I made was to stay quiet. I was trying to cope with it all and, putting the mask on of, I'm okay, I can do this. And that was a huge mistake.
Yeah, so you internalized it. Were there emotional components to it? Like, so I know a lot of women before their period, they get maybe very emotional, cry at the drop of a hat, or anger or aggression. Did you have any of that as well?
I had a lot of anxiety, but that was caused by fear of every time my period was coming. I was so fearful. Oh my God, how is it going to be? How heavy is this period going to be? How many tampons do I have to use or pads? So anxiety was definitely one of them. I would say, yes, mood changes. I wouldn't call it aggression, but irritability and more sensitive,
Yes.
I would say, to, anything. So yeah.
Right. And were you married at that time, Anna?
Part of it. So I was diagnosed in my mid-20s, but yes, when I then, years later, yes, exactly. I was married and we were trying to have a baby, and yeah, that was not happening.
So that must have been a strain on your marriage as well, I would imagine.
You know, I I I would say my former husband was very supportive.
Oh,
And so he understood. And, at one point we got the news that you cannot have children. Most probably, like, the chances are so low. And rest in peace, he really was very, very supportive.
that's great because a lot of times men don't understand what a woman is going through. Like just
Oh,
going, through the whole cycle of getting your period. I mean, a lot of women struggle with different emotional aspects, plus the physical, the bloating, the uncomfortability.
yeah,
And so I was just wondering like how your husband dealt with that because it's a lot. It could be a lot, and you were
a
really
lot.
struggling. So yeah.
Yeah, and now I have my partner now, and now it's a different struggle, right? It's surgical menopause, and it's basically menopause. So, and that is the reason why I created Glow by Hormone University, and Hormone University, the platform. And, Susan, I remember writing down all the symptoms that I went through, right?
Yes.
From the beginning up until getting that surgical menopause and going through hot flashes and night sweats. And definitely, I would say I am more susceptible to irritability now than even with endo. So my partner has been very patient. Very
Good
patient.
thing, good thing. So, okay, so this is the way I feel. Sometimes out of something bad, something good always takes place. So, with all your struggles that you went through and the disappointment of then not being able to have children and then suffering through menopause and that whole thing, you established a wonderful company
Thank you.
where you're helping so many other women. So what got you, at what point in your life did you decide, okay, let me make something good of this and tell us about your company and your products and what you're doing?
Yes. So it was immediately after that last surgery when all of a sudden, I wake up after surgery and I've had my organs removed, and whilst I was recovering, a flood of like symptoms that were slowly coming until they came in a very aggressive way.
Mhm.
That was when I I decided, as I couldn't really take a HRT. And I want to maybe pause here for a second because I think that there is a lot of talk about HRT and bioidentical hormonal treatments. And I always like to explain this because we're at Hormone University, we're all about information and for us to get all the information possible so that we can make our own decisions, right? So a lot of people talk about birth control and the consequences of birth control. Now we are in this phase of HRT. And, I don't know what's going to happen with the consequences of prescribing HRT, because now it's kind of like the pendulum has gone the other way and everyone wants to get HRT. I guess I'm more of a, let's pause and see, and let's check individually, what do you really need? And
Mhm.
in my case, I took initially HRT, and I I I had a black clot, so I had to stop it immediately. And I have a major history of breast cancer in my family. So that was the kind of like trigger for me to create our product line. And I thought, okay, what if I create something that will be completely natural, but will stimulate naturally our key hormones? So that's how I came up with period SOS and menopause SOS. So those are like, it's a transdermal approach. So it's a topical cream, and you can use it on a daily basis. And we co-created with our gynecologist, OBGYN. She's an oncologist. She's an eminence of a doctor, along with other doctors. And I'm not a doctor, right? So I needed to have them on board. And that's our approach. Our approach is actually hormone-free. Our approach is, how do we help your body react the right way and stimulate your hormones in a way that will help you manage those symptoms? And believe me, I've never felt better. So
tell me a little bit about some of your products.
yeah, so I have them behind me. So menopause SOS is the cream that I just mentioned before, and period SOS would be the equivalent for those going through period phase, perimenopause.
Yes.
And for menopause is menopause SOS. Every product that we do, kind of like the name states what it does.
Yeah.
It's very different. I'm very passionate about our gut microbiome, and I wanted to create a product that would bypass our gut. So what we do is topical solutions, and you just put it on a daily basis. And Susan, the testimonials, I mean, I've had people cry. I've people sending us emails like, oh my God, this changed my life.
Wow.
And yeah, we did 4 studies already. So
what is the ingredient or ingredients, and not to get into the science of it, but what are you using? If it's not hormones, what is it that's helping to make these changes?
Yes, we have 3 key ingredients. We've got Wallium root, which has an extract called diosgenin that is brilliant. We've got Vitex, and we've got marshmallow root. So those are our key 3 ingredients that really work very well, very, very well. And then we've got our magnesium and collagen lotion, which has evening primrose oil, so brilliant for hormone balance.
Beautiful.
Have our intimate hydrator, which is a lifesaver.
Wow.
It's a vulva hydrator. It protects you from UTIs, completely natural, with hyaluronic acid, with collagen. It's almost like you can put it on your skin, actually.
Beautiful.
Vitamin E, aloe vera. This is a lifesaver for those who are in need for.
So this is a great product for a woman who's in perimenopause or menopause, where sex is become very painful. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, and anyone who's going through painful sex or wants to prevent UTIs, because if you put this on a daily basis, it's like protecting that population of microbiome, vaginal microbiome, right, in your vulva area. Sorry, not vagina, in your vulva area. So it's actually, our doctor says, start early. You know, you hydrate your skin on your face, hydrate your vulva. It will really protect you, and it will really help with that population.
Wow, that's great.
Yes,
great.
And the last product we launched, which sold out in 3 weeks, Susan, I'm so proud of it. It's called Bloating SOS, which I don't have it behind me.
Oh, bloat. Yes, that's a good one.
So that's our first drink. It's a powder.
Okay.
And it's delicious. It took us 1.5 years to develop it. We've done it with dietitians, nutritionists, our OBGYN, of course, it takes part in every process. And it helps with bloating, water retention, and weight loss. It helps with your adipose tissue. It's almost like a fat burner. So it's brilliant product, brilliant product.
And where can my audience find these products? Are they online or?
Yes, please, glowbyhormoneuniversity.com. That's the
Oh,
website.
okay. I will definitely put that in the show notes as well. Um,
Right?
what what advice would you give for a woman who your story is resonating with them right now? So it could be someone who's trying to conceive and they're not, or the painful periods that they're getting. What's your advice? Where do you send them? What do you tell them to do at this point?
Yes, Susan, I get that all the time, even friends of friends and friends of friends of friends that,
Yeah,
unfortunately, 1 in 4 couples are going through infertility and it's rising. And so there are many things that they can start doing. One of them is look out for those endocrine disrupting chemicals that you're in touch with on a daily basis. So one would be look at your makeup, look at your cleaning products at home. What are you using, right? What
right.
detergents are you putting on your clothes on a daily basis? What detergent are you using in your dishwasher? All those chemicals that we're
Yeah.
surrounded with, clean everything, clean as much as possible. We've got tons of articles about this at Hormone University. So that's one thing. The second thing is prevention is the new medicine. This is so crucial. And the same way I said, use intimate hydrator to protect your vaginal microbiome and protect from UTIs. Do the same thing with your cycle, right? Eat healthy. Everything that we eat, food is also medicines. Prevention is medicine, food is medicine. Everything you eat will have an impact. And I would say, of course, I would recommend my products, absolutely, because we've helped so many women with period SOS to have a stable cycle. So without a stable cycle, you cannot conceive. And period SOS actually really helps. Sorry, it's this one. Period SOS really helps with having a stable cycle. So women with PCOS, with endometriosis. And I would also advise for them to test their hormones. And this is not a 6-month checkup. This is there are tests out there. We're actually, pun intended, testing tests. We're looking to partner with whatever test we believe is the best in the market. I'm constantly talking to tests we're not going to manufacture most probably. So I want to partner with whichever one is the best. And I think our hormones are like cycles constantly. So understanding your estrogen levels is crucial to really, let's call it calendarize, right?
Mhm.
Everything, what you eat, what you need to stop eating, and of course, sexual function. So I would say those are the 3 key things I would recommend.
Right. So estrogen dominance, are there side effects to that or what?
Well, I mean, endometriosis is definitely one of them.
Okay.
It's inflammation, the key issue. So inflammation can have an impact everywhere.
Yes.
And we really need to understand what's happening with estrogen levels. So this is again why we created our products so
Yeah,
that we can
that's great.
stabilize.
That's great. So I will put the link in the show notes
Thank
to
you.
where they could purchase them. And just any final thoughts, Anna, would you like to share?
Yes, I think as women, we tend to put everyone first,
Yes.
right? We have to prioritize ourselves. And that is something that, I have learned the hard way. I prioritized work so much in my life. And now it's different because this is my mission. So work is actually a pleasure and I
Yes.
love what we're doing. And it's my purpose on a daily basis. But I would say prioritize your health, yourself, and look after yourself and do whatever makes you happy. You know, people talk about exercise, which is so important, right? Key
Yeah.
strategy for hormonal health, exercise. But of course, there are certain exercise routines that are pain in the neck or you might not enjoy. Do whatever makes you happy, because
Right.
that's going to have an impact as well. So if you want to dance, dance. That's great actually for hormonal health. Weightlifting is great after, you know, when you start getting into perimenopause and you want to look after your bone health. Sleep, so crucial.
Oh, yes, that's a
So
big one.
crucial. We haven't even talked about it. Sleep is so important.
Yes.
And stress management. Cortisol. We have an article called Cortisol Poisoning. It,
Oh,
it's the epidemic of our time. You know, it's like high levels of cortisol lead to inflammation too.
yeah.
So manage your stress.
We as women, we were raised to nurture, right? And take care of everybody else. And we ignore our own needs, we put everybody ahead of ourselves. And some of the things that you said, like sleep, is so, so important. I mean, you rejuvenating as you're sleeping. Your brain is cleansing of toxins that it's picked up during the course of
Right.
the day. So it's helping tremendously with brain health, which is another big issue for women getting older, 50s, 60s, right? Exercising, like you said. And it's not about, I mean, it ultimately is about looking beautiful, like you be firm, but like you mentioned, lifting weights is so important for bone health,
Right.
because if you fall and you have osteopenia or osteoporosis, it could potentially kill you. And so we need to not look at it as we're being selfish, but we're actually taking care of ourselves. And this is what it's all about. And women need to lose that mentality of it's great to do for others and be there for everybody else, but we need to prioritize ourselves first.
Yeah, exactly. Block that time for yourself. And I think
Yes,
also, you know, mothers. I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't be a mother, but I see, you know, with my sisters-in-law and my brothers and, you know, friends of mine, girlfriends of mine who are mothers, like they feel guilty all the time. And you just have to, you're actually leading by example,
yeah.
by looking after yourself. So I think that's very important. Absolutely. That's a good message, Susan.
Yes, it really is. It really is. And women have to get comfortable with that. And that's an issue for a lot of us. But yeah, I'm hoping that eventually we all start to realize that and we do what's best for ourselves, because we can't make other people happy if we're depleted of our own happiness. It's
Right.
just not possible. So,
Absolutely. But I think just as a recap, what I find extremely important is identification, you know, that phase of identifying what is happening in your body, because no size fits all, and we need to understand what's going on. Like I said, hormone testing, mineral testing. Maybe you have heavy metals. Mineral testing is super important. Are you deficient of certain minerals? That's crucial. GI test your gut.
yes.
How's that population? You know, what's going
Yes.
on, right? Again, major axis to the brain, gut,
Yes.
brain. And after you've done all the testing, then see what you can do that is personalized to your own needs. It's so, so important.
Yes, it really is. When I'm working with a client, especially when it comes to food, I don't like to complicate things. I don't believe in diets, measuring. And this is what I tell my clients: eat whole foods, healthy proteins, plenty of vegetables, cook them like in simple ways, not a lot of sauces or anything like that. Stay away from sugar. It's just
Yes.
real basic common sense. because our food system these days is terrible as
Yeah,
far as packaging, processed foods, and the chemicals and the preservatives. So go back to the basics and
yeah,
make life easy.
exactly, exactly.
Yes.
Brilliant.
That was great. Anna, thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you're doing because there's so many women out there today who are struggling with hormonal health and getting pregnant or very difficult periods, which leads to a lot of other complications. So your work is very much needed. And I love the fact that out of something that was not great for you, you turned it around and you're doing something wonderful for a lot of other women. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much,
You're
Susan.
welcome. You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.